Welcome to another weekly featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, James Moffat, where he will gracefully take our featured guest on a personal and business journey and stories that will inspire, educate, and engage you.
Hello and welcome to another Friday featured business brought to you by your host, myself, James Moffat, and Visibility Impact. Today we have our 112th guest, all the way from Austria, 𝗬𝗢𝗪𝗥. So Lara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right, but before we get going and before we learn about Lara and her journey from her childhood to where she is now, we're going to kick off the show with a song from Emily. So Emily, if you could also just introduce yourself, what you do, and then tell us the song you're going to sing.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Emily, originally from London, living in Lausanne in Switzerland. I have a children's education events business. So I organize holiday camps for kids and birthday parties and after school clubs. And I also sing and play the piano. So today I'm going to sing for you one of my own songs. It's called 𝗓, 𝗎, and I. Okay, so my laptop unfortunately doesn't have very much battery. So if I put it there, is that too far away from the piano?
No, it looks okay.
Looks okay.
But it's the same story every week.
Sorry? I know. I know.
I'm gonna buy you a charger.
I think I need one. Yeah, this one's really bad.
I will bring one from Bulgaria.
Is that your drums on the floor?
Sorry?
Is that your drums on the floor?
The drums are over there.
Oh, what's that beside you then?
Oh, this? Oh, it's just a chair.
Oh.
Well, to be honest, I just walked through the door, so I'm just going to find the... Oh, yes, I can play you... Or I can play you the song I wrote for my goddaughter. Do you have a preference?
Yeah.
The one I wrote for my goddaughter or the one I wrote about an ex?
No, I think Lara could pick. Lara, which one do you want?
How about the goddaughter?
The goddaughter. Okay.
You can do 𝗓, 𝗎, and I next week.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so this song is called Sarah because she is called Sarah. She's 3 years old. How's the sound over there?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Those big brown eyes and that beautiful smile, the way you say my name, your tiny hands and your little toes don't grow too fast. Slow down. You're the most beautiful girl in the world, in your sweet yellow dress and your hair full of curls. One day you'll know how much you are loved by your mommy and daddy. You're all they think of. Sarah, my precious girl. You should know that you stole my heart from the first time that I saw your face. The way that you love can brighten the saddest day. When I hold you, all my troubles melt away. You're the most beautiful girl in the world, in your sweet yellow dress and your hair full of curls. One day you'll know how much you are loved by your mommy and daddy. You're all they think of. Sarah, my precious girl. Oh, Sarah, my precious girl.
Bravo. Excellent.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
When did you write that?
Maybe a year ago. I think she was about 2 when I wrote it, or 1.5 or something. Yeah.
So you need to start introducing yourself. I'm Emily. I'm a singer, composer.
That's a beautiful song.
Thanks.
So, with all your songs, are you getting them recorded or?
It's on my to-do list. It's on my to-do list.
On a to-do list. Because how many songs have you written now?
Oh my God, maybe like 20 or something. I have so many, but I just haven't, let them out yet.
My business partner in the other venture, he's a drum player. And he's sending his songs on the platform. So maybe I need to introduce you to him.
Okay, that's cool.
Irish guy living in Hungary.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Right. So Emily, are you going to hang around or do you have to disappear?
I have to go in about 20 minutes, half an hour, so I can stay for a little bit.
Okay, maybe you can share a link or something. So I can also put that in the notes afterwards so we can get people to connect to you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
And also I'll provide Lara's one so she can connect. So, welcome, Paul. Hi. All right.
Hello, Africa. Hello, Africa. Tell me how you're doing.
There's been a lot of disruption in Paul's in South Africa, and there's been lots of power outages. So you might disappear.
Power to the people.
Exactly. That's what you need. Power back to the people. Right. So welcome, Paul. So let's get going. So Lara, you are our 112th guest. Right. So welcome to the show. So now we've heard Emily sing, and Lara, you mentioned that you're a singer, but not prepared for the show for this. It's not about singing. It's about your journey. So we're going to learn about you and take you down memory lane. So we're going to kick off basically back to where it all began. But first of all, for the audience, where are you living now and where are you originally from? And you're on mute.
Wonderful. Well, I actually was born in Vienna, Austria, and when I was 5, I moved to California, and then I moved back. And after many travels, now I just moved back to Vienna. So I'm currently sitting in my apartment, watching the snow come down outside.
Wow, snowing there. Right. So are you a skier?
I tried skiing. Snowboarding is actually my...
Likewise. I started skiing, switched to snowboarding, and since we got the kids, had to go back to skiing. But my eldest son is now boarding, so I'm skiing and boarding, so I have to take both lots. So, Lara, we're going to learn more about you now. So just take us back to kind of your childhood. So you were born in Austria, but then your parents moved to California. So just tell us a little bit about that. Are you the only child or have you got siblings?
Yeah, so I was born to very young parents, and when they were 20. And so actually just my mom and my little sister moved alone to California. And then my mom met my stepdad, and then I had a third little brother as well.
Okay. Was there a particular reason for going to California?
Yeah, my mom, she's a voice instructor, and she's also a Waldorf teacher, and there was a specific program she wanted to do there, a teacher training program. And her plan was to come back after 2 years, but then plans changed.
Okay, so when you went to California, did you speak any English?
No. No. But kids pick that up so quickly. When I first went, I kind of made friends by just being a show off and doing tricks on my bike and climbing trees and leading the pack of the kids around the block.
So as a kid growing up then, you were very outgoing. I mean, you were very sporty and adventurous, and you kind of did kind of more, I would say, tomboy type stuff, but it seems to be more normal now that kids do everything these days. It's not like this is the girl sports, this is the guy sports. It's kind of, you do everything. Whereas when I grew up, it's like, oh no, girls don't do that and boys don't do that. But so you were very sporty. So you mentioned about snowboarding. So what other kind of things that you do? You said you did tricks. So what were you doing?
I think that was just my way to, well, first of all, the way you were phrasing that question, I'm really grateful to my mom that she let me climb trees and let me learn how to fall down, get up again, and all of that, because it really increased my ability to take risks and have courage and try things out, fail, try again. And yeah, I mean, it just depended on different phases of my life. So either I'd do my tricks on my rollerblades or my bike, or I was pretty good at basketball. So I was also had my ball tricks. Yeah.
And now you're into yoga.
Yeah. So I did a lot of competitive sports and team sports, and now calmed down a bit and moved to yoga.
All right. So less active, but more kind of more mental, I guess. I mean, yoga is very physical as well, but I mean more mind control as well.
Yeah.
Right. So just got some others joining. So yeah, excuse that when they join, we'll just add them in. So Lara, then what age were you when you went to California?
5.
Right. So you went to the regular school and you picked up English while you were there.
Yeah. It was a big part of my identity of just being this kind of global citizen and learning how to navigate new beginnings in different places at that age.
Right. So tell us a bit more about kind of your childhood. So what things did you like and what were you doing? I mean, what were kind of your ambitions as a kid, what you wanted to do when you grew up?
Well, I already wanted to be an author. I was writing a lot and I was really creative. I had very lucid dreams from a young age. I was a very highly sensitive kid. And so my mom helped me from a young age learn to navigate moving away from nightmares and more being able to control my dreams. And so that really influenced, I think, my creativity and my storytelling kind of passions. I also did a lot of theater and music and loved being outside. The nature connection has been something that's definitely accompanied me throughout my life.
So, I mean, I've read your notes and they're quite extensive. I mean, normally when I send out the questionnaire, people just put one-liners in there. You kind of wrote a book. So it's quite amazing. I mean, there's so many things to touch on. It's difficult to know really which direction to go. So also feel free to kind of steer this into making sure that you get the most out of this as well. And you can emphasize on the things that you feel are the most relevant. But I mean, you've done all sorts of things. So very sporty, very mindful of others, very focused on what you want, but also trying different things. So having the courage, and I noticed in the notes, is kind of the daring yourself to actually have the courage to go and do something. So even in the absence of not speaking English, when you first went to the US, it was about doing something that you could do without having to necessarily speak. And then you kind of made friends that way. But your English now is fantastic. So obviously it worked. And yeah, I've achieved a lot. So then growing up as a kid, tell me more about kind of the dreams, because you said that you had very vivid and kind of nightmare type dreams. So when did these start and how did you kind of deal with them?
Yeah, so I was very interested in that from a young, because pretty much as soon as I have my first memories, I have my dreams. And at first they were pretty scary. And then my mom helped me just kind of learn how to navigate them and created some tools and just kind of steps that I could do to work with them. And that kind of became a big theme of my life. I was just a very sensitive kid. And so at one point too, when I started learning more about the world and philosophy and psychology, when I was maybe 11, 12, 13, I started diving into all the books and all the different religions and spiritual directions and things like that. And then my mom also, I found a great teacher and mentor that helped support me through that time. And so between my teens, I was constantly I had a secret life where I would go up to the mountains and meditate and had some great teachers that accompanied me during that time, but really very guiding and helping me find my own answers to things versus telling me how things are. So that was really helpful too. And that helped increase my trust in myself a lot.
Was it only you that had these dreams, or did your sister share them as well?
My sister is also a very sensitive person. She has a very different approach to it. She's really grounded and really kind of more I wouldn't really necessarily say it's more the scientist. I'm more the social scientist, and she likes all the. She studied biology and kind of more of the geography and kind of from that direction.
But she's a younger sister.
Yes.
Okay. So, with the dreams, did you think the dreams were actually kind of a discovery of yourself, and that was leading you on a path to understand what the dreams were? Because at a very young age, I mean, just reading the notes, I mean, you kind of 14 when you started, maybe even younger, but when you started to try to understand what these dreams meant and where the path was kind of leading you, and how to kind of get rid of the nightmarish and switch that around.
Yeah, I mean, I had one that really switched up everything was one dream that I had where there were these 3 airplanes, and it was dark. First, it was a black and white dream, and there was a forest, and then there was another meadow, and then the colors changed, and then there was a 3rd airplane, and there was a parking lot, and it was just this very kind of strange dream with these airplanes and people in the shadows and things. And when I woke up and drove to school the next day, we heard on the radio that the airplanes had hit the Twin Towers in New York. And that really kind of shook me up and was like, that's interesting. My dreams had that. And it was just an interesting, I was so young. I just realized, okay, there's something's going on here. And then I just started exploring more again.
Right. I wasn't really going to go down this path actually and start asking this, but it was just the dreams that made me think of 2 previous guests. I mean, one guest, she's a dream decipherer. And she comes from New York, and she was in New York working in the Twin Towers at the time. And she had these vivid dreams basically telling her basically something similar to you. And she made sure that the next day she didn't go there. And the next day was 9/11. Right. And then there was another guest that, I forgot so much about the story, but also exactly the same thing. So there must have been lots of people experiencing kind of the same types of dreams at the same time with a message, but it was difficult for them to understand what the message was. It wasn't until afterwards that they were having other dreams that kind of it became clearer. So the dreams that you had were kind of more nightmarish dreams, or there were nice, also some adventure and kind of positive dreams?
Definitely all of the above. Yeah. Okay.
So then, as I say, I'm not going to dwell on this because there's so many other things to talk about. So I'm interested also, as growing up as a kid, do you also, because you mentioned about outgoing and trying different things, you went off around the world on a boat?
I did, yes.
So can you share more about that?
Yeah, so I started my studies. First, I wanted to be a nurse, also just kind of to help people. I just really love humans and thought, okay, this could be a way to like support, give back in a way and be of service. But then I started going towards the political science and human rights route instead. And then I was putting myself through school because my mom was a single mom at first, low income family and things. I had to make sure to pay my way through college. And then I was taking a break from college and found this incredible program called Semester at Sea, where you travel around on a ship and go to 12 different countries. We went to, or actually 11 different countries around the world. And in each country, you can do class-related activities. And we had a university, 500 students, and all around. We also went to South Africa.
So how old were you then? And you mentioned in the notes there was 500 students. Is that true?
Yeah, I turned 21 on the ship. So that was during my bachelor's studies. when I was studying political science, and it was 500 students, all different disciplines. So not everyone was studying political science, and we would have our classes on the ship. Professors were with us as well. And then we would have kind of the historical and political, human rights, religious also background of each country that we would go to. And then in each country we could explore and do class-related field trips and things like that.
Wow. I'd love to have done something like that. And that was organized by the university then?
The University of Virginia at the time, yeah. And I was going to St. Mary's College of California. And so I applied through the University of Virginia. Yeah.
It must have been a big boat then for 500 students.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was like a cruise ship that had gone out of business as a cruise ship. And then they boasted having the largest floating library in the world.
Wow. So where did it start off from?
We started in the Bahamas and then went to Dominica, Brazil, up the Amazon to Manaus, over to Ghana, South Africa, Mauritius, India, Singapore, Vietnam, China, Japan, Hawaii, and then back to San Diego.
So really around the world.
Circumnavigation.
Did you have a chance to meet Paul? He's in South Africa.
Yeah. I went to South Africa often afterwards as well. I had several friends there.
Yeah, because Paul's in Durban.
Oh, okay.
I'm speaking for him at the moment. I went to South Africa. I mean, I went to Kruger Park, Cape Town, Johannesburg, and so on. Anyway, so that must have been a massive and excellent experience. So how long did that last?
It was one semester, so semester at sea. And I think the main important lesson I had at that point was, again, this setting a goal and then just finding a way to raise the money and make the money, because it was, of course, very expensive to do. And it was one of those see it, believe it, make it happen situations. And I traveled differently than a lot of my peers because I didn't do all the fancy Taj Mahal or Great Wall of China and things like that, because I didn't have the funds. So I would just wander around on the streets and get to know locals, and visited things that were related to my classes as well.
Excellent. And then you grew up in California. So whereabouts in California?
Northern California, near Sacramento, Fair Oaks.
Ah, very nice. So more San Francisco area.
Yeah, that's where St. Mary's College is, where I did my bachelor's degree.
All right.
Question. Did you walk on the most crocodist road in San Francisco? They have a road that is like...
the zigzag.
Yes, zigzag.
When I had my European visitors, that would be part of the tour.
But you also visited a mountain there.
Mount Shasta, yes, that's my spot where I would go. I did when I was 15, actually no, I was 16, I started this journey of doing kind of solo, a few days of vacation by myself every year. And I started going to Mount Shasta. Did like 3 days of camping alone as a 16-year-old.
So how high did you go?
I didn't go very high, to be honest. I had my gym bag and my sleeping bag and just kind of walked up the mountain.
But there's proper campsites.
Felt like an hour, but it was probably like 20 minutes.
All right, but there's proper places there to camp.
Yeah, without a tent. It was pretty wild.
Right, okay. But is it an active volcano?
Yeah. Actually, I'm not sure.
All right. Did you ever go to the top?
No.
All right. But it is one of your favorite mountains.
Yeah.
But now you've got the Austrian Alps.
I do. Mountains and water are my two favorite things. That's really
mountain and water. Well,
after living on the ship, makes me feel very at home up by the water.
Well, I kind of got that. Yeah, I've got the Swiss Alps and I've got lakes. Although there's a big difference between a lake and the sea. So you prefer the sea or kind of a lake or rivers?
Probably the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a preference. Yeah, we grew up at the river, the American River, near Sacramento.
Right. So let's kind of move forward now. So let's kind of jump forward a bit and to find out a bit more about what you're doing now. So you studied political science, right? But are you doing anything related to that now?
Well, that was my bachelor's degree. After doing semester at sea, I started being more passionate about international relations. So then I studied international development for my master's degree. And during that time, I dove more into the entrepreneurship world. So I was working at the Impact Hub. It's a network of social entrepreneurs around the world. And that really got me going with the social entrepreneurship direction. So my master thesis was about social entrepreneurship and refugees. That was 2015 with the refugee crisis. And then I just started going more and more into this entrepreneurial direction. I helped found 2 startups, and I just started learning more and more in that direction. And then I went into business development consulting and in the digital and high tech space, and was doing a lot of consulting for startups and for small, medium, large businesses, and particularly around digitalization. And then I did EU project management, and then it started going more in the sustainability direction. Again, I was working with circular economy projects, and then also looking at how digitalization can help the transition to circular economy.
Very good. It sounds like I'm reading my own book, because I've done a lot of that as well. So yeah, I got involved a lot with the impact hubs here in Switzerland, and there are in many different cities here. And it's good to see the entrepreneurial journey of people. I mean, some are very early idea stage, and some are kind of a bit more developed. So did that give you well, you mentioned that did you found 2 of your own companies, or you helped found companies with some of the startups in the hub?
Yeah, so one of them was kind of a project. We won the Social Impact Start Award, and we didn't actually get to the official founding phase. It was kind of the first pilot phase, and that was I wanted to just do research for my master's, but then I started getting more and more hats, and as the startup world sometimes is, I just took on all these roles, and I still had my student loans to pay off from the US, so I really needed to focus on making money and not working for free. So I let go of that one. And then the Help Today app, that was also, we actually founded that one and got some funding. And but then I moved to Germany and also let go of my role there. But yeah, I was young and trying things out and learning a lot as I went.
Okay, so you mentioned Germany. So from California, where did you go after that?
From California, I went back to Vienna for my master's degree, because that was where the international development program was. And then from there, I started my traveling in my digital nomad chapter too. I was teaching English online. And so I'd kind of probably gotten addicted to travel with semester at sea. So I was going to South Africa several times with an ex-boyfriend that lived there, Zambia, Zimbabwe. Then, yeah, I was taking my time with my master's. And then I met my ex-boyfriend in Croatia on one of my travels, and he was from Germany. So then I moved to Germany and started my business development consulting work there. Yeah.
All right. So how long have you been back in Austria?
I actually just got back to Austria mid-November, after doing a year and a half of travel, again, digital nomad, Costa Rica, Nicaragua. I see that Andra just joined, who's also in the Costa Rica world. Yeah, I just spent the last year and a half traveling and building my own coaching business a bit more. I'm also a yoga teacher, and I do one-on-one coachings. And that's actually one of the main reasons I agreed to be here today too, and was happy to be featured for my own.
So you know Andra?
I do.
All right. She was a guest.
Happy birthday, Andra.
Oh yeah, Andra's 33 today.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, a magical number. Right. So, okay. So carrying on. So do you feel now Austria is home, or do you want to go somewhere else?
I feel really good about grounding in Austria, like having a home base, and my whole family moved back to Austria now. So everyone's here and it feels good.
Okay. So typically now, being back in Austria, are you speaking more German than English?
Yeah.
Right. You didn't forget your German then when you traveled?
No, I spent 1 year in Austria when I was 15, 16 to get to know my dad again. And so that kind of really helped refresh my German. And during my master's, I was also practicing again.
Okay. So tell us now a bit more about what you're doing. And because there's many different areas that you touch on. You touch on sustainability, political science, climate control, and everything else. So what is it that you're doing now? And where are you on this journey?
Right now, my full-time income is I'm working as a sustainability manager, so commercial sustainability management for a company called Climate Partner, and we help companies reduce their CO2 emissions. And it was just really important for me to find colleagues in a company where they're all social impact and climate action oriented, because at my last company, I was kind of felt very very lonely, like I was the only person interested in circular economy, and I wasn't. There were other colleagues who were also interested in it, but it wasn't the main focus of the company. And so that was important for me, especially after all my travels and really falling in love with the world so much that I just thought it's important for me to have a job where I'm really, really working with sustainability. And I'm also working I have some one-on-one clients that I do coachings with, and also still teaching yoga here and there. And I have a retreat coming up in El Salvador next fall as well.
Right. You should team up with Andrea because she's got a retreat coming up also.
I know. I just changed the dates too. It was going to be in February. And then now with my full-time job, I realized it was too soon to go back to El Salvador. So
you're not going on each other's retreat, are you?
Oh, we can see what happens.
I want to come on both, actually. I'm a retreats guy. Now, what I would like, actually, I mean, which is good about this, is just digressing a little bit. Having all the different guests on here, and everybody apart from Paul, who's here, Paul Johnny, I'm still waiting to be a guest, right? He's a regular to the show, but he hasn't been a guest yet, right? It'll be good networking and then go and visit everybody. So this will kind of be your round the world trip because everybody's in a different part of the world. So this would be great. And then to do retreats at each of the different destinations. So this would be wonderful. So this is what we are building as a community to be able to enable that. So it wouldn't be my retreat per se. It could be your retreat, but we help facilitate it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the retreat. It's the people I'm collaborating with are also social impact oriented. So it's really about well-being for well-doing. So we're also collaborating with Indigenous communities there and doing beach cleanups and tree planting and things like that. So it's something, as maybe you can hear from my journey, is spirituality from such a young age, but then not really going in that direction for my career, just really wanting to be in action and here. And so it's important for me to do in the yoga world and personal development world also to be giving back. Okay,
so this is your first retreat. Your first that you've done yourself.
Yeah, I've been teaching yoga, or I was working at a hostel where I was also teaching every day for a month. I taught in Nicaragua and I taught in Portugal, but a whole retreat like this for a week, it's the first one. And I'm considering doing maybe a pilot week, like 1 week, looking for 10 people to just test it out online and go through the content.
Yeah, I was going to make a joke there because Pete is a pilot, right? A real pilot. So Pete can come because he's a pilot. And if you want a pilot week, then you need some pilots.
Perfect. Good.
Isn't that true, Pete?
That's a very lame joke, James, but sure. Okay.
All right. Well,
you'll find that out about James. Great guy, but not the greatest jokes.
Well, I just thought this is ideal. All right. A pilot program, so get some pilots to go. Actually, you could play that as something completely different. We're doing a pilot retreat. For well-being yoga and whatever, but we're looking for pilots to pilot it. Right? This would be something completely different. It'd be a different angle. Right?
I'm open to trying things out.
You don't have to take his advice.
All right. Anyway, so why did you pick El Salvador?
It was a friend that I met during my travels who does lots of educational tours. And that's one of the spots where she regularly hosts tours. And so she just offered that I can come. And everything's already planned, the location and the whole setup with the translators and the program with the surfers, because it's surf and yoga and work with indigenous communities and some outdoor adventure.
All right. So how long's the retreat for?
1 week.
All right. It's all planned.
It's all ready.
You just need the people to go.
Yes.
How many are you looking for?
10 people.
Right, 10 people. Okay. Well, we should obviously plug this as well. So you have links and everything that people can connect to and check it out? Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll share those later and put them in the notes afterwards. So besides that, you're very concerned about obviously the planet and climate and what's happening because we seem to be destroying the planet more than preserving it. So what is it that you're focused on or have a passion about, and what are you doing in that respect?
Yeah. Well, right now my current role is working more with companies to help the companies reduce their CO2 emissions. And my role is really the first step in the whole process. I'm in the sales team, just finding companies and engaging them and motivating them to get started. And we have a software tool, companies then can put their different scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, and then we calculate and help companies reduce and go through the steps to also offset if there's any emissions that are unavoidable. Then we can also offset them with some different programs around the world, like tree planting or windmills in South Africa and things like that.
So how's that accepted at the moment? I mean, are people open to listen or they can't be bothered?
Oh, well, it's mixed. Of course, even in the climate space, there's a lot of people who have very different opinions about what the best way to go is. And I mean, I was looking for a job in the climate space for quite a while now, and it's hard to find a job in this space too. So I mean, I was looking more. My focus and expertise is more in the circular economy space and regenerative economy, regenerative development, things like that. And now being more in the corporate space is also an interesting and new experience. I'm learning so much. So it's
okay. So would you like to, focus on that in parallel and create your own business and move forward with your own business and have something that, because you mentioned about starting when you were younger, you founded 2 different companies. So now is it something that you would like to focus on, that this is mine and I want to build this and I want to spend more time and effort doing my own thing?
I do want to go in that direction at some point. I think I was feeling the urgency of how little time the planet has. And I feel like collaborating on with more people in the team kind of seemed more effective where I was at right now in this time in my life. I do have a small company where I work as a freelancer for social impact strategy, where it also includes some sustainability consulting. And for me, it's really also a focus on well-being for well-doing, because so many people in the climate space are also very overwhelmed. I mean, climate anxiety, I don't know if, that's a term that's also floating around for a lot of people. And people get very overwhelmed with the topic, and it's sometimes really hard to even talk about or know how to address these topics, and even how to talk to each other. If there's an NGO or an activist who's really, really, really upset about, how companies are dealing with climate action or greenwashing and things like that, and how to find those conversations and communicate with each other without, and actually listen to each other and learn and do something instead of nothing and just be upset and angry.
Yeah, I admire you for addressing things like this, because there are, this is one of many different concerns that we have. So to actually be doing something about it is admirable. So congratulations.
I'm happy to be working. The company that I'm working for, they also have a strong emphasis on mental health and supporting initiatives in the company to make sure that people are doing well. And I think that's really helpful, especially in the climate space.
But I think not just with the climate, just in things in general, life in general is taking its toll on people, and they're suffering from basically the lack of hope. That they feel everything's in a downward spiral, and if it's not the climate, it's something else, and if it's not that, it's something else, and then it's kind of people are searching for some hope. Well, where's the good news, right? And this is kind of a mindset thing as well. So that going back into the well-being is something very important, because it is a mindset that you can accept all the kind of the doom and gloom, and is how you deal with it and how your mind moves forward and thinks, well, there is a positive that can come out of this as well. And it's not all kind of dark, bad news. And because, as you said, like climate control, challenges that people have, and then they feel that then they start fighting against each other because they look at neighbors and friends aren't doing something and say, oh, you're affecting the climate. And it's not necessarily like that. It's just they're manifesting something that they see as worse than what it potentially could be. But anyway, let's kind of switch off.
And for me, it's about taking care of each other too. So, I mean, for me, it's one and the same. So taking care of the earth and the planet is actually taking care of each other. I mean, it's just taking care of each other as people also.
No, absolutely. I mean, I always say that there's three fundamental things in life that we should be doing. First of all, is learning. We spend our whole life learning. Whether you're learning good things, bad things, indifferent things, or whatever, we're learning. And we'll always learn. We'll always learn something new to the day you die, right? And then the next thing is serving humanity. What are we doing to help one another? Exactly what you said. And then it's not just about serving, it's then preserving. What do we do for the next generation? We can't have all the cake and eat it and leave nothing left for the next generation. So what are we doing to help with everything for them?
And something additionally is, for me, also with my whole life journey and everything, to kind of go full circle here, is it's also building bridges, so between different cultures and people and ways of being and thinking. And that's why I like social entrepreneurship so much too. It's building those bridges between sectors, and as a third culture kid and global citizen with my whole background, that's something I've just really practiced, is whether it's in the US with the very polarized, political system, or just anywhere, there's just so much polarization, and then just helping to connect and build those bridges between people and listen. And
so there's a few things that I want to touch on. You mentioned in the notes a lot about being brave. I mean, you're brave that the fact you went to California. You're brave that you mixed with other kids that didn't speak your language, or you didn't speak theirs. You were brave in the way that you went on this trip around the world on the boat. I mean, do you think brave kind of is something that you believe that having that bravery has given you kind of that emphasis on, right, I can overcome lots of challenges because I'm brave enough to face them head on?
I use the word courage. For me, for some reason, courage fits with me, with the language that I use for myself more often. Sorry, what was the question exactly? It's definitely my driving force. I mean, it's what gives me hope, and it's what, yeah.
So when you're talking to kind of young entrepreneurs and startups and whatever, what kind of advice do you give them?
Well, it depends on the case, of course. I have been working a lot with female entrepreneurs, and also a focus on diversity and inclusion. So people also, something we haven't talked about at all is my background. My dad's half Indian. And so I've also been someone who, even in Austria, people are always like, oh, but you're not Austrian. And they really want to know where my ethnic roots are. And so I'm always having to explain, like, born in Austria, raised in California with Indian roots. And so there's also this aspect of diversity and inclusion and belonging. So yeah, it depends culturally. So in California, for example, there's less of a fear of failure. So being able to just try things out and then get up again. In Germany, I noticed people are a lot more afraid of failing and kind of changing the narrative about what failing even is and how to be resilient. And especially in community, when you start talking to people, which is beautiful, what you're doing is just realizing you're not alone in these situations, or even in, regardless if it's in starting a business or if it's how you see the world or how you experience or have vivid dreams or, have.
So are you still having the vivid dreams?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But you know how to do
my writing practice now. I've been writing and working on a few creative projects, and that usually helps.
Okay. But these dreams are regular?
Every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
But you've learned how to deal with them, or you're still struggling with them?
Oh, no, they're fun adventure. I mean, now I'm usually very aware and awake of what's going on, and so they're usually just fun adventures, and sometimes lucid, sometimes not.
But can you influence them now?
Yeah.
You can?
Not always. That's what I meant with lucid. Sometimes not. Sometimes I realize, oh, I'm dreaming. And it's usually just strange, little random things where I realize this isn't reality. And then I can start jumping around or swimming with whales or whatever.
You jump in dimension. You should speak with Sheila. I mean, because she's the dream decipherer, and you share a common dream as well.
To get back to the business aspect of everything, it's really one of the really cool things about dreams and working with them is you can really practice skills in the dreams too. So whether it's public speaking or starting a business, and also practicing courage. I mean, if I'm dealing in my dreams of facing, I've had a few really scary things happen in dreams too, and if it's good practice then to deal with scary things that happen in real life.
Yeah, I've always had dreams that as a kid that I could fly, right? And then, but many different dreams. But over the last few years, I've had more vivid dreams as well. I mean, numbers in particular, the significance of numbers. And then the next day, everywhere I see is those numbers, like on car number plates and whatever. I think, oh, I dreamt about that number. Then I see it on the door. Well, that's the same number, and then somewhere else. So I'm very fascinated with dreams. So something maybe take offline. So just moving forward. Also, you mentioned kind of at the beginning before we started the show that you're a singer, right? Do you want to share a bit more about that?
Sure. It's so interesting to see how the direction of this has gone today with the focus on dreams. And I didn't expect that to happen. The singing, I mean, my mom's a music teacher, a voice instructor, and so we just grew up singing. My dad was also always in choir, and my grandpa was a sitar player and a music teacher as well. So it's just been in my family. And I'm a big writer, so I've been dabbling in writing my own songs as well. And yeah, musical theater. Musical theater also helped with courage.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Boyan. So just a couple of things before we kind of close the show. You mentioned about writing. Are you writing anything in particular? Are these novels? Are they life adventures? Are they to do with a particular subject?
One of them is a lot about my story, and especially also being a teenager who was already, when I interested in all those kind of big personal development questions and kind of my yoga journey, but also this yoga well-being for well-doing, yoga for change makers, and expanding my definition of what it means for me. And the others have to do with dreams or kind of modern adult fairy tales, things like that.
Excellent. So you're writing those now, or are they ready for publish? Or
one of them's almost ready. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, let us know when you've got it ready, and we'll help promote it for you as well.
Yeah.
Or buy it.
Yeah, my last one's kind of a more millennial style eat, pray, love, since I also left a 6-year relationship and then traveled around the world and kind of reconnected with myself, started a business and things like that.
So you're pretty busy at the moment doing many different things. So how do you find time for all of this?
That's a good question. I'm still practicing that. I mean, I'm trying to work on good morning routines and walking the walk, well-being for well-doing. So making sure I manage my stress levels and exercise. And
maybe you have to blend some together. So when you say you do the yoga and you're a singer, do you do yoga and singing at the same time?
I haven't done that yet. No. But I am combining socializing and yoga, like with my friends, or making music with my friends, things like that, so that I can get.
All right. As you've got a heritage from your dad's side, from India, so you like Indian food?
Yes, very much.
And you cook?
Mm-hmm.
And you sing Indian, but you sing Indian songs?
No, we were very disconnected with that side of the family because it's kind of a long story. I don't know if it's my story to tell, but we ended up reconnecting with my dad's side of the family very late, so 2015, and they all live in London.
All right, in London. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Paul here is from India, aren't you? Right.
Hi, Paul.
Can't hear you. Still can't hear.
Hi. Now is the voice clear?
Yes.
Okay, hi. Yeah, so I'm in south of India, in south, it's called Kerala, south of India. I was in Bombay before, and I had come to London for 4 years. Then I came back to India again, and now I'm back to Kerala. In India, I was in Bombay, and now I'm in south of India, called southern India, so that's where we are.
Kerala is where I stopped on semester at sea. I was in Kochi.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of coconut trees there, right?
Beautiful. Yeah, it was a good first place to visit India. I think it's a first stop.
So, do you speak any Hindu or whatever language it is?
Indian language.
Indian language. There's so many.
My dad's a PhD in Sanskrit. He's an academic in Sanskrit. So I grew up kind of hearing his practices of the Upanishads and things like that, which also my yoga journey started super young, actually, as a child already.
You've got a connection with all of us, actually. Singing with Emily. You've got Paul Bishop in South Africa. You've got other Paul in India. You've got the pilot for your retreat, right?
I also live in America. She lived in Sacramento. I was based out of Mountain View, Moffat Field, in the San Francisco Bay.
I drove by there often. Yes.
Yeah, and I can't say I stayed much time in Sacramento. There's not a lot going on there, but I did. It was on the way to the ski trips up at Lake Tahoe, which are fabulous. So.
Yeah. We say we have the most trees, city of trees. I mean, that's something. Exactly.
it's not the worst city in California, but it's not the most exciting either. So, but a great place to grow up, great place for family, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah, you sound more like an American girl than an Austrian girl.
I feel very Californian. I mean, all the stereotypes of California girl. Definitely.
That's like, I see that in me. That's good. Yeah, it's good. I mean, I would say the one thing that growing up in the States, and there's a lot of things that we don't do well, but the idea of taking a risk and not being afraid to fail is a good thing, because clearly you've taken lots of risks and gotten amazing experiences, and I'm sure there's been some bumps along the way, but you're so much richer for it.
Thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, I did fly, but that doesn't mean I should be a pilot in whatever he's talking about. Although I do like yoga, and I do go once a week, so I need to go more. But I went last night.
You went last night to yoga?
I did.
Oh,
I could do, warrior 1, warrior 2, warrior 3, can down dog.
I tried Pilates,
Child's
actually.
pose.
My neighbor said to me, you want to go to Pilates? And I thought, well, what's he talking about? Right? No, I mean, in Switzerland, there's a mountain called Mount Pilates, right? So I'm thinking, go to the mountain. He said, no, it's kind of yoga. And I said, no, not really my thing. But anyway, we went in the end. He said, how flexible are you? And I said, I can go next Tuesday.
You're always making the joke.
Anyway,
I don't do Pilates, but I hear it's amazing. I hear you'll be super fit when you're done.
Yeah, it's all about your core. So I like to think that I've got a good core now. Yeah. But anyway,
digressing again.
Yeah. Just going back to kind of some of the notes, you mentioned that you wanted to be a nurse, an actress, or an author. So you're going to be an author because you're writing. Actress.
I acted in my mom's Christmas play this
Oh.
Who knows? Of course, who knows? Maybe my book will become a screenplay, and I'll try to pitch myself to the director.
What kind of public speaking is being on stage?
Yeah, so I have I've been a speaker at a few different kind of work events and things like that with circular economy. So I'm practicing a little bit, or women in leadership, things like that. But just slowly stepping into that.
And the nurse bit, you kind of nursing people.
Yeah, I mean, I just got a trauma-informed yoga teacher training additional certification, which has really been interesting in the last years with the crisis, and also working with working professionals and burnout people who are really working on struggling with that. And so that's been really interesting to have that kind of full circle again with the mind-body connection and stress management, and actually really having tools to help in the business space as well.
Perfect.
Trauma is an intense word, but I usually say stress management or something for in this business space.
Well, I guess every company needs that, because every company, there's people suffering from some sort of burnout, stress related kind of problems at the moment. So this is the opportunity if you want to ask the audience any questions, or the audience want to ask you anything.
I don't have a question right at this moment, but I'd happy to answer any questions.
You want to know who wants to go on your retreat?
What are the details of the retreat? Can you give an overview? You might have told us earlier, but I apologize. I missed it.
We didn't really get into it that much. It's 1 week in El Salvador, and we have yoga, surf, outdoor adventure. We have some work with trips with the indigenous communities. We have a college professor who's also going to be there giving kind of a historical perspective on El Salvador. It's really important for me that when you travel to a country that you're not just traveling, going for yoga and leaving, but really learning about the communities there. And so it's a whole package, mind, body, soul, transformational retreat. And each day we have a theme that we work on.
Sounds amazing. What level of yoga do you have to be in order to be able to be proficient or to be able to attend? You can be a beginner.
Yeah, I think I'll see kind of what the group dynamic will be. But you can definitely be a beginner. I usually add a lot of options to my courses that you can choose what level you want to choose, or what pose to go into.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be group coaching sessions as well. So there'll be kind of group coaching sessions, and I'm also going to be doing one-on-one coaching sessions that integrates just different tools with different energy or trauma-informed practices that I did. So there's also one-on-one coaching.
So when you talk about coaching, is it around mindfulness, or is it around other topics, or what are we getting into?
Yeah, it's usually very case by case. So I've got one coaching client right now who's very just kind of startup and doesn't do well with the spiritual language. So with her, I just really focus on mindfulness and kind of integrating daily mindfulness practices or breathing exercises in her work. Or I'll go in completely the other direction too, with people who have maybe a more developed spiritual practice or kind of more interested in that. And then I'll go into more energy readings and working with chakras and things like that.
And it's in February of next year?
It was going to be this February, and I just moved it to October, November.
Oh, October, November of this year. Nice, nice. I really haven't spent any time in Central America. I haven't gone to Central America. I've gone to a lot of places, but that's not been one. So I need an excuse to go. So maybe that could be fun. I'm not that far. I live in Atlanta, so probably 3 hours or maybe a little bit more, but not much.
Kind of my dream to see if I can get a whole group, like a specific team or a whole bachelorette party or something like that together, where it's kind of a group dynamic.
Yeah, everyone knows each other, and that's a great idea.
Then I could even just do 2 in a row and add to it. But
I think all these Europeans, actually on this call, there's very few Europeans, just James, but mostly this group is European. So they have to come to the Americas and be part of this, because we definitely are an eclectic group of folks.
It's my favorite type of people.
So just out of curiosity, are you looking for kind of 10 individuals? I mean, from different backgrounds, or are you approaching companies to say if you can get a company and 10 maybe people from the company?
That's kind of what I just mentioned. I'm open to both. I think that would be ideal to have a group. It would be easier to structure the coaching program, but
because you mentioned people that know each other, so it's kind of a work thing as well for wellness. But 10 complete strangers could also be something magical as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going live now with the marketing, so we'll see what kind of resonance we get. And
yeah, that's the hard part. But if you could land one company, then you get all that done, fell swoop, and just focus on the agenda. Yeah, a lot less work.
Or you find 10 of us. You don't want us like that. That'd be terrible.
Oh, it's funny. It's kind of like he heard.
I don't want to see
that we talked about it.
I don't want to see Pete bent over touching his toes.
It's a good look. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Why not? I'm fit.
Yeah.
Not the worst look.
In his leotard.
I don't wear leotards. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyway,
funny.
Let's kind of wrap this up. So, Lara, you've been a fantastic guest. There's so many different things that you could venture out and do. And I love the idea of the retreat. I like the idea that all retreats, I'd like to spend kind of the rest of the year going to retreat after retreat. I think they'd be magical. I think you'd learn so much from that. And it's nice to see how people are doing different retreats and different ideas on it. So that, I guess, is something that obviously you want that to be a success. So anything that we can do to help, then let us know. Anything that you can share also that we can put out there so we can get people to at least take a look, then provide me the links and everything for that. And is there anything that you want to kind of leave us with?
I thank you so much for creating this space to just create more visibility. It's something that I've been working on, being able to share my story more and just speak openly about my journey. And so thank you for that. I think it's been interesting navigating these worlds of being in the business and political and international development space, while also then staying authentic and practicing well-being and all of that. So it's always great to find like-minded people in that space. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I thank you very much for being a guest and sharing your story. Also for the audience, then I put in there kind of your LinkedIn profile so people can connect to you. But if there's other links that you want to share, then please do, and I'll add them to the notes afterwards. I encourage you to connect with the people here because they have a a community and their network, and you never know, through word of mouth or connections, then you can achieve a lot of things. So yeah, once again, thank you very much for being our 112th guest. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to hear your story. So on that, I wish you a wonderful weekend, and for us to share more information with each other.
Thank you.
Yeah, fascinating story. Great to hear it and to participate. I'm glad I was able to jump on and listen. It's neat. You're doing some amazing stuff. Keep up. Keep all the great work up. Don't get discouraged. You're going good places.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lara, and have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Wow, that was another featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact. If you'd like to be our next featured guest or learn how James Moffat can help you leverage on the art and power of interactive storytelling for your business, reach out and schedule a call now.